with your host, Andrew Romanella.
I legitimately watched the entire women's triathlon the other day. I got to tell you, that was exhilarating stuff. But I was locked in because what's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. Happy Tuesday. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. It's December 10th, 2024. We are 15 days away from Christmas, and we were delivered some presents on Monday Night Football last night between the Bengals and the Cowboys. We got to dive into that. It's a Tuesday. Rocky joins the show with a little bit of hockey with Rocky. That's exciting. Of course, we need to talk about some history that was made in the National Basketball Association, and then so much more. You want to get in the action today, the Rome Show 1. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X. It's at the bottom of your screen, or behind me on the sign, the mothership of the station. That's 12 OZ Sports. That's the number 12 OZ Sports on all the social medias. Follow, subscribe, do whatever, and you'll be up to date with everything Rome Show and 12 OZ Sports. You're looking for something for the holidays, head to 12ozsports.com, head to romeshowshop.com. Our radio network has you covered for the holiday season. So take a look and get what you love. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, I saw something last night that blew my mind. And if I was a Dallas Cowboys fan, I would absolutely lose it. And I'm going to show you the clip in a second here, but I would like to start by prefacing it with this. Oftentimes on the Rome Show, we talk about how coaching matters. Yes, there is a bias from me because I am a coach myself, but I feel like over the last bunch of years in professional sports, the adage that coaching is not as important as the players, or coaching doesn't matter, or people don't even coach anymore, or just get rid of the coach. Hearing those things, it really gets underneath my skin, okay? Because I believe that in every single sporting event that I watch, whether that's a football game, hockey game, basketball game, pro, high school, college, doesn't matter, you see moments where, and we'll think only positively here, you see moments where coaching matters. So last night, you got the Dallas Cowboys playing the Cincinnati Bengals, okay? The Cowboys and the Bengals are both underperforming when it comes to their record and the 2024 season. Zach Taylor's been with the Cincinnati Bengals since 2019. They drafted Burrow in 2020. They made it to a Super Bowl 2 years later and lost, and it has not been the same since. Mike McCarthy wins a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. 5 years ago, he signs to be the head football coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You sign Dak Prescott to a long-term deal. You draft Micah Parsons, and you think to yourself, wow, we're going to do a lot of winning here. And now you look at it, and entering last night's Monday Night Football contest, the Cincinnati Bengals were 4-8, and the Dallas Cowboys were 5-7. And you're looking at it, and you're going, how are these two teams, right? One at which has one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Joe Burrow, who's only got like 6 interceptions and like 30 plus touchdowns this year. And on the other side, you have what was for the last 3 years prior to Dan Quinn leaving and being the head coach of the Commanders, one of the top 5 defenses in the league that doesn't look the same. For 2 years combined, the Cowboys couldn't lose at home. Now for a full year, the Cowboys can't win at home. And so all of that gets thrown into a mixing bowl last night on Monday Night Football. And the whole time I'm watching this game and I'm thinking to myself, this game is littered with the statement coaching matters, right? Because first off, on the positive side, both teams played defensively like they've never played before. The Cowboys held the Bengals to 27 points, which might seem reckless because you're like, well, it's not recklessly good. Well, first and foremost, the last 7 of them came in the last minute and a half of the game where their defense had the Bengals at 4th and 27, and the Cowboys special teams blocked a punt, but coaching matters. Guy gets signed off the practice squad, not fully prepared for the moment, doesn't know all the rules, touches the football on the punt, and it becomes the Bengals' ball. So I can't hold the final situation of the game that led to a victory for the Cincinnati Bengals. I cannot hold that against the Dallas Cowboys. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, please take a look at your screen. And that's how the game ends. And I cannot hold that situation against your defense. You're running off the field. It's 4th and 27. You're like, let's go. We have 2 minutes left, 3 timeouts. We got a chance here. All we need to go down and is kick a field goal. It's not like Cooper Rush. And I'm saying this honestly, not facetiously. Cooper Rush is not the worst quarterback in the league. They were on a 2-game winning streak with him as the quarterback. He had almost won as many games as Dak Prescott, their franchise quarterback. So you have a chance. And as you're not even off the field yet. You might not have even taken your helmet off your head yet. You block a kick, which should be an exciting moment, but some dude signed off the practice squad, touches the football, doesn't know the rules, and loses you the football game. And that is why I started today's show with coaching matters. Because as a coach, on good teams with great coaches, those things don't happen. And you say to yourself, well, no, that's on the player, Andrew. No, it's on the preparation. It's the preparation that leads to that player not making that mistake. That player, if he's going to be on special teams, needs to know every possible scenario that could happen, right? So if you're the special teams coach and you're like, I just signed this guy on Thursday, he's going to be playing gunner on the punt team. I need to know one freaking thing, that he knows every job or possibility or scenario that could happen, because that's the job. You can't tell me, oh, you need to, who's going to know that? Every football player should know that. If the ball crosses the line of scrimmage from the punting team, no matter who it touched, you no longer can touch it as the offensive team. Like, those things have to be known. And those mistakes only happen on badly coached teams. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Mike McCarthy is a bad coach per se either. I'm just saying that is bad coaching. And if you're watching your football team or you're listening to rumblings about what is good or not about your organization, look no further than decisions like that. Knowledge by your players of the rule book. Watching your coach, Dan Lanning at Oregon, has done this all year. Understanding how to maximize any situation to help his team win. So last night, I witnessed 2 teams on Monday Night Football that I believe right now don't have it all together, from the coaching staff to the defensive side of the football. And then I'd say the Bengals are locked offensively, the Cowboys, then the offensive side of the football. So a lot of that, in my opinion, starts with coaching. All right. Last thing before we let Rocky join the show here. I don't know if you saw this side of Monday Night Football last night, but when I talk about Major League Baseball, or I talk about sports doing things to better increase the viewership of their sport. Sorry, hit my microphone. To better grow the sport. What I saw last night with Monday Night Football and The Simpsons was super awesome. Check out your screen and listen to this broadcast. Story before. I love it. I love it. The sport that doesn't need to do it, doing it, and is attracting to every fan. The 85-year-old dude in his living room that's been a Jets fan since whoever the guy was that actually won them their Super Bowls. If that even happened, I can't even, who knows if that was even a lifetime that some of us exist in. Just kidding. Just kidding. Anyways, it's time for Hockey with Rocky. We have so much to talk about. We're going to hit the sound and we're going to bring this guy on. Some of us exist in. Just kidding. Just kidding. Anyways, it's time for Hockey. Now, inside the glass, Hockey with Rocky. Rock, how we doing?
Can't hear you.
You can't hear us.
Yeah, I haven't been able to hear you on StreamYard this entire time. I've been listening to you on YouTube.
Oh, well, we can hear you. That's wild.
So, do you want me to call you, or I wrote you a message?
I see you wrote us a message here. Why don't you give us a call, and then we will get you on the Bluetooth. How's that
I
sound?
got nothing.
Rocky's going to give us a call here. We're going to get him on the Bluetooth, and then we will have the chance to speak with a one Rocky Romanello. Listen, man, this is technology. 2025. This has been working every single time. He likes to get his face on. His face couldn't be on this time. That is okay. I remind you as I get Rocky set up on the Bluetooth here. Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, whatever you listening to it. Subscribe, share it with a friend, and youtube.com/12OZ Sports is arguably the best way to get in on the action. Okay, let's restart. Now, inside the glass, hockey with Rocky.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Back on the. I got video. I muted myself on StreamYard in case we did this, so it could work.
And we are locked. How we doing today?
We're doing fantastic. Just thinking all about the lack of class in New York sports, except in Queens for the first time ever.
Isn't that so exciting, Rocky? It's so exciting. So as we started the show yesterday, we broke the news that Juan Soto is now a New York Metropolitan for 15 years, $765 million. He also has an opt-out, 5-year opt-out clause that, yeah, you guessed it, gets him paid more money. Yeah, I know you were thinking the same thing at home. He opts out after 5 years. The contract escalates $45 million. And instead of being $756 million over 15 years, it's $805 million over 15 years. The Mets, Rocky, also put some stuff in the package for his family, including a suite and some other things that mattered a lot to Juan Soto. As a lifelong Mets fan, and just as a baseball fan in general, how do you feel about this deal?
Because you're a hockey fan. Like, the money in baseball is ridiculous. Well, let's just start there.
Ridiculous.
Right? The money, $50 million a year for this guy, which is crazy. Then the other side is if you're going to be competitive, you need to do this, right? If you look at the Dodgers payroll, it's your only way at this point. So there's that. Then the next piece is like, it's sad that I go right here. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's got to stay healthy for 15 years. And then it's
true.
Yeah. And then it's, I hope this isn't it. Like, I hope we go, let's keep Pete Alonso. I hear Nolan Arenado's on the block. Like, let's go make it a team, and like, let's keep some pieces that we already have, and let's make it worthwhile.
And if you look up on your screen right now, ladies and gentlemen, I threw this up on the board yesterday, but I'd like to throw it up again today because Rocky just made a great point. And I think the reason why Juan Soto gets his contract dollars up to $756 million is because of the column that says games. In his rookie year, 116, sophomore year, 150, COVID year, 47 of 50, 21, 151 of 162, 22, 153 of 162, 2022 combined two teams, 153, 2023, 162, played every single game for the San Diego Padres, who stunk, of the 2023 season, Rock. And then in 2024, he played 157 games for the Yankees. So I don't believe, Rocky, that any player in any sport is worth $756 million. I don't believe that. I have a hard time believing anyone at all outside of like people that build the infrastructure of our country are actually worth that much money. But I see why when you look deeper into those numbers right there, Rocky, his availability is key and his stats then are also filthy.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the money market changed when you paid Ohtani, but you paid Ohtani for two positions. You didn't pay him for one, yet yet he DH'd all year. So now you've just increased the ability for that market to go up because the guy's never going to pitch again.
Yeah, I agree.
So it just, the whole landscape changed when you paid Ohtani, but you had to, because at the time he was going to play two positions. Even I guess he still had the UCL thing or whatever when they signed him, but still at the, so the entire landscape of baseball payment has changed again as it continues to do across its history. But you have a guy who plays 160 games, 150 games a year. Like, you got no problems with me. Like, him and Lindor should be tight. Like, there's no reason why you can't keep Alonso now and go build like a place for Polar Bear to start hitting home runs again and like actually protect that guy in the lineup.
The one thing I said to all the Yankees fans that have talked to me recently was, if I was the Yankees, one, you were going to give him 760, so now you have $760 million to spread across a few different players. So you should be doing that. But more so than anything else, it's like, all right, well, I'm going to go sign Pete Alonso. Like, that's what if I was Brian Cashman, I'd go sign Pete Alonso, because one, you need a first baseman, but two, it's like, okay, well, I got to do something for this team because we need the players, and why not stick it to the Mets? That would be my move. But hey,
Judge and Alonso, like with the DH spot, either one is going to win. You can't go wrong there.
I agree 100%. All right, let's flip the script here. We're talking to Rocky Romanella. It's Tuesday. It's Hockey with Rocky. This is a weekly segment here on The Rome Show, 12ouncesports.com. If you were wondering, we broadcast live on YouTube and X. You just got to go there and subscribe. Rocky, in the National Hockey League, your New York Rangers have not been playing very well. Okay, now I know this is a topic of frustration
fired up this morning
for you. Okay, the one thing that I would like to tell you is why, or ask you, excuse me, wrong terminology. Why is it that the captain thing always gets caught up in this? Is it actually because they traded their three captains? Should they have traded those three dudes, Jacob Trouba being the most recent one, traded to the Anaheim Ducks? Like, is that actually a thing, or is it just more or less you don't really like Chris Drury's moves and maybe it's time to switch some stuff up? What side of this coin here? Is it the Rangers organization? Is it Trouba needed to be traded? Is it both? Like, is it that the captain's thing's like a curse? Like, what's the novice hockey fan got to think with this situation?
Listen, you can't deny that it's a trend, right? The last three captains for the Rangers have been traded mid-season. And there's a reason why it says New York sports is not classy on my tagline today. I remember very vividly a couple years ago, Rick DiPietro talking about how he believed out of every sports team in New York, the New York Rangers had the classiest of all franchises. And, as a fan, like, you have to agree with that, right? You see the turmoil in Queens, the Yankees. For someone to say that above the Yankees are amidst what they are now. Like this, they used to be this 28 World Series team with this pedigree, and they've kind of fallen off that. The Giants are an absolute shambles, right? The Devils aren't really New York. The Islanders are on the island, and like no one gives them credit for what they did in the 80s and 90s, right? So there's that. And then you look at the fact, okay, so Callahan, all right, let's justify it. You went to the Cup final that year with Martin St. Louis. So the move you made at the deadline, you would argue was for a Cup that year, and you got to the end. You got to the final. Didn't have the firepower to win. Okay, then you trade McDonough, and you're like, this isn't good. And then you look at what happens with Jacob Trouba. And my problem with the Trouba trade isn't, okay, structurally, it probably makes sense. You free up enough cap space to make your moves that you need to make at the deadline to make this team relevant and give them a chance to make a push. Fine. All that well and good. You can talk to me about that. Good. Whatever. Here's the problem. 2 years ago, when the Rangers are in a very, very similar position, Jacob Trouba gets in a huge fight, throws his helmet across the ice, and is the seemingly turning point in the season. They rally behind him, they get tough, they get physical, and they make a run, back to the conference final or back to the playoffs, whatever. And now 2 years later, is the number one problem on your roster. And I just don't understand how an organization who lives and dies by Marc Messier being its captain when they won the Cup in '94. Marc Messier, head of the leadership, Marc Messier Academy. Literally, they give away a Marc Messier Leadership Award every single year. How an organization with that type of alumni base, Adam Graves is a huge part of their own, is going to allow the captaincy to get dragged through the mud this way.
Hey, and here's also what blows my mind,
I don't get
Rocky. And this is also what blows my mind. This is what I don't understand. Isn't Chris Drury the captain, the GM of the Rangers? Wasn't he the captain of the Rangers? Didn't he wear a C at one time? Am I crazy?
I mean, he was a captain. Listen, that too, but even more so. And here is where I think the true problem lies, because the true problem's on the ice, and it's the mismanagement of our talent. And you see it in two different places. The captaincy is one of them. The actual gameplay is another. So I'll start with the captaincy. For Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider's entire tenure with the Rangers, they have never been good enough to be the actual captain. They have never held that leadership talent. And for a while during their tenure, you went captainless. Between McDonough and Trouba, you had like 3 seasons where there was no captain. These guys were never unselfish enough to be the captain, which is fine. Okay. But now you're at a point where I'm watching a game last night. You're down one goal. And you know who's on the ice? It's the exact same lineup that Gerard Gallant had on the ice. It's the same lineup that David Quinn had on the ice at the end of the game. And so you're sitting here, the same mistakes you're making with leadership, it's the same mistakes you're making with on-ice play. Why isn't Filipino and Will Cooley, Capo Caco, and Alexi Lafreniere on the ice at the end of the game? You'll never change your roster. You're never going to change your outcome. You have done the same thing with your roster across 3 different coaches now. And it's coming to a head. This team looks like Peter Laviolette. Where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you?
I think it's time for a change, and not just in the coaching realm, Rock. I think it's just time for a change. It's been 6 years of the same thing, it feels like.
Every team has the same story. Great at the power play, great goaltending, questionable 5-on-5 when you look at the deep analytics. At some point, your roster is the reason for that. Kreider cannot play with Zibanejad anymore. He is not a top 6 forward. I'm sorry. I cannot wait to see how the USA uses Kreider at the Four Nations Cup. Because number one, I don't think he should have been on the team from a top 6 standpoint. If he's only going to play penalty kill and power play, then it makes sense. And I'm curious to see what the breakdown of his minutes is going to be, 5-on-5 versus special teams on that team of incredible talent. But you are Alexi Lafreniere literally has like 6 minutes less per game than Trocheck. Like, this is your future. How is he not on the ice more? I don't get it. I just think it's incredible to me.
So at the end of the day, you have to answer this question, because we could scream and yell about the lines all day. The organization needs to make a change, Rock. Drury's got to go as the GM. You got to change. You're not going to win with any of these players, and you're not going to win continuing to run this back with the same type of coach. And at the end of the day, that comes down to who's the general manager of the franchise, who's making the decisions on these players, right? And is it working? And it's not. If you're telling me that the same last 3 coaches have been putting the same lines out there, I'm not going to lie to you. I've heard you and every other Rangers fan scream about Lafreniere for 3 years now. It's like, all right, I'm really actually over. When are you guys, as Rangers fans, going to start talking about the management? I'm over hearing about the lines and the head coach. How about the management? Maybe the head coach doesn't have the pieces to actually win hockey games 5-on-5 in the National Hockey League. And all of those head coaches, just a thought here, have been masking issues with the Rangers instead of maybe they're just not good enough. Rock, when are we going to get to that point with this team? Is it that point?
Well, it's just pure, like, okay, you've got talent, but you're not using it the right way. I mean, you're not using it the right way.
That's my point. Wait, real quick. If we're always not using it the right way, and it's been the same talent for 3 head coaches, is it not the general manager's time to go?
Listen, it has to be. I mean, it has to be. It has to be. The makeup of the team is good enough. There is zero identity. There's zero toughness, right? And all that you're the number one, like you've got guys that are playing top minutes that aren't physical. You don't have anything behind them. I would argue you need Matt Rempe to come back in the lineup. You need, what is the Rangers' identity?
That's a great question.
They don't have one.
Great question. And
they don't have an identity.
Actually, I know what their identity is. Their identity is Hall of Fame goalie. Seriously, though, it's like, all right, for 20 years, we're going to have the best goalie in the league, presumably, and then hope that everything in front of him is good enough that we can get to the Stanley Cup that way. That's what it feels like from outside looking in.
I mean, you've got a 100-point guy in Panarin who's mediocre comparative to the top scorers in the league right now. He's not in the top 10. You've got a future Hall of Fame goaltender. You've got a former Vezina Trophy winner who looks pedestrian on the ice. Adam Fox looks pedestrian. You've got a future in Zach Jones and Victor Mancini that look lights out. You've got a guy in Keandre Miller who, for all intents and purposes, looked like he could be a really good defenseman in the league. Guy looks terrible. Terrible. So, listen, 7-game losing streak in Nashville. Maybe this is how we go grab Stamkos.
Yeah, and here's
maybe
the
this is how you go get Jonathan Marchessault. 7-game losing streak in Buffalo. Maybe I go grab Owen Power on defense, give him a new life. Maybe I go grab Tage Thompson up front and get some size and a big, tall power forward that can score goals. But there are some teams that are struggling across the league that you could go buy from, and you've got pieces to sell.
And I just threw up on the screen while Rocky was talking there. There's the East standings. I had them up before, and I had the West standings up as well. Just quickly, the Panthers lead the Atlantic. The Caps lead the Metro. Caps impressive, obviously, without Ovi. On the West side, we got the Wild leading the Central and the Knights in the Pacific. All right, Rock, I got to get to bananas before this show ends, so give me your final thoughts here.
Listen, my final thoughts are this. When do these New York organizations stop accepting the way in which they're treated in the public sphere and get in front of the media? Why do the Giants and the Rangers and the Yankees, why do they let the media run their organizations? Whenever that's going to stop, they'll get back on the horse and win some games. But until then, they're going to find themselves in these situations. The Giants and the Rangers are exactly alike right now.
I agree.
3 different coaches, 3 different regimes, 10 years. What are we doing? The only difference is the playoff push from the Rangers. Their talent actually is winnable. That's the biggest difference. But ultimately, the media runs these organizations in New York, and the fact that you can't get ahead of it and get a little bit stronger with them is brutal.
That's, I think, a topic we should break down all of next Tuesday. I truly do believe that. That's a great topic, and I think truly a real issue, the way the New York organizations are being run. All right, Rocky Romanella, everybody, here on a Tuesday, making some adjustments. There we go, yeah. Making some adjustments, coming on the phone. Doesn't matter. It's like the OG way. Rock, you have a great rest of your Tuesday.
See you later, Romo Sapiens. Let's rock.
Let's rock. Yeah, it's great stuff. All right, we're going to go right into this segment here, one of our favorite of the day.
Ba 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 na na ba 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 na 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 ba 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 na na
Okay, we are locked today. And here's why we're locked, all right? Because the first things first, I have a win 3-0 last night. That is correct. 3-0. We had Cooper Rush, 2 throwing touchdowns. Cha-ching. We had Joe Burrow's over 225. Cha-ching. And we had the Bengals at the plus 5.5. Cha-cha-ching. So Andrew moves to 167 and 132, I believe it is. on the year. 131 or 132. Can't read my handwriting right there. Nonetheless, we continue on. Tonight, the NBA Cup starts. That's exciting. The quarterfinals. We have two matchups. The Mavs, they play the Thunder at Oklahoma City, and the Magic, they play the Bucks in Milwaukee. Right now, the Mavs are favored by, the Thunder are favored by 4.5 over the Mavs. Both teams come into this contest on a winning streak. The Mavs, 7 in a row, 9 of their last 10. The Thunder, 3 in a row, 8 of their last 10. I'm going to go ahead and take the Mavs in this contest at the plus 4.5. Luka scored 30 in 3 of his last 4 games. He's averaging 28.7 points per game, and I'm going to take the better of the two streaks, and the way the Mavs are playing right now, they're really starting to click. So give me the Mavs at the plus 4.5, and then give me Luka over 30 points. And then on the other game, the Bucks, they are favored by 7.5. I am not a big fan of that. I like the way the Magic are playing, especially without Paolo Banchero, who is their best player. So give me the Magic in that game at the plus 7.5. And those, ladies and gentlemen, are your daily bananas. Keep picking them with us, ladies and gentlemen, because we have been winning, and it has been a lot of fun. We hope you win every single day on The Rome Show. 7 a.m., 12ouncesports.com. We're on all the social media. Follow us every single where you can. And by the way, this is Andrew Romanella saying peace.
Thank you for listening.